Hey everyone, it's Trevor, the okayest gamer here, and today we're going to be talking about the AYANEO Next 2. We just had a live stream. We're not going to go through everything, but we're going to cover what they've posted on their website. So I have two guests with me today. I have Paul, also known as Barely Average Dude, and I've also got Gigi, also is known as Gamers Generation. I'm going to show you a little bit more about their channels a little bit later in the video, but we're going to jump straight into the conversation. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is, did you guys actually check out the live stream? No?
I missed it.
Absolutely not.
I watched like the speed run version where you kind of like tap the +10, +10, +10, trying to find the highlights. And then later I found out everything was posted online, so I could have just checked there, which is what we're going to do today.
In my defense, it is Super Bowl Sunday. My team's not playing. It's Super Bowl Sunday.
I like Paul's answer. In my defense, I watched most of my content in 3 times speed, and that was still too long.
That's still like an hour long. It's pretty wild.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to pull up my screen here and we'll jump right into it. So, okay. So here is the Next 2. I don't know if anyone in the audience, like if you guys have seen this or not, or have been following it. That's actually a question for you guys. Have you guys been following this device at all? Paul, Gigi?
Yeah, I mean, I have. I remember they just sort of announced it, I guess. Not a full launch, but they announced it a few months back, I believe. And I've been actually looking forward to this. It reminds me of one of my favorite devices of all time. I think we're going to get into a little later. Should be good, but yeah.
Yeah, we have been talking about it on Handhelds United on Speedcast, which Trevor is a frontliner for. So we have talked about this a couple of times. And looks like based on what Trevor's talking about with us today, we're going to talk about it again.
Oh, definitely. I actually remember the Next 2 when it was originally announced. Like this is back, oh God, that's probably like, it's got to be like 2 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that, where they were talking about like putting DGPU in it.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
So that's why I'm like, is this thing actually coming out? Because I've been watching this for 2 years now. Kind of curious what we're going to see. So I'm thinking this is finally it. We finally have like an actual device to look at. Anyway, this is what it looks like. And for those that have followed any AYANEO products, this looks incredibly familiar. And Paul actually has the device that it reminds me of, which is the AYANEO KUN.
This is actually one of my favorite handles of all time. I'd probably put this as my favorite if I had to call one. But yeah, it does look very similar. Yeah, very familiar to someone like me. That's why I was so excited, because it reminded me of the good old KUN. That's what I'll say for now.
You know, there's all kinds of speculation as to why it's now being called the Next 2. Probably one of those is exactly what Trevor was thinking. You know, they announced this years ago, and they're you know, they got to deliver or something.
Let's take a look at it. So we see the device here. It looks a lot like the AYANEO KUN. They do have some of their main specs here that are highlighted that we'll go through. And the first one is the display, and it's a 9.06 inch OLED, which is the only OLED 395 device that we have. But it's a little bit weird because the aspect ratio is kind of strange. Well, the resolution is 2400 by 1504, which is like not quite 16 by 10. It's like a weird, I had actually looked it up and it was like 75 by 47, but it is close to 16 by 10. So prepare for like just some light bars. And it just seems like such a random display. But you had mentioned, Paul, that like there was another device that it actually reminded you of, like specifically that resolution triggered that and the size. And that was, what device was that again? That
was the Red Magic Astra gaming tablet. And when I saw the announcement, it kind of just reminded me immediately of those same specs. It's OLED, same size, same resolution. I'm not sure if it's the exact same panel. If it's not, I mean, they're copying home up there.
I mean, like how many screens have you seen that have this resolution and is this size? Like this brings my grand total to 2. So I can't really see it not being this one, but you know, this is what we have, and we'll see how it all works out. Like, I wonder how the black bars are going to be. Like, if it's close to 16 by 10, like maybe they won't be too bad.
I'm personally kind of skeptical because of that resolution. You know, you can do like full screen and then you'll get those bars like you said, but you know, not every game like Expedition 33 is a good example. Despite how optimized Cyberpunk is, Cyberpunk does some like shenanigans if you're trying to do like Windows full screen or something like that too. So like if you're trying to run something at 1440p, which is obviously a way more common resolution than this, I don't know, like, I kind of feel like there's probably some games that don't like that, and it's just gonna, like, you know, show up in, like, a little corner of the screen or something. I don't know, something weird if you try to change the resolution.
I feel like you need, like, a Red Dead Redemption 2 test, you know, if the screen's gonna work, because that game is, like, infamous for that.
Yep,
exactly. That's, like, that's PTSD.
That game is...
And also like yeah, like the integer scaling because of this weird number is going to be off too, right? Like you can,
Yeah.
like if you have a p screen, you could do something 600, and since that's a half integer, like it looks beautiful upscaled to 1200. But then like, what are you going to do? Run some game at like, some crazy strange resolution, or like what?
What is it like?
Yeah.
752p. Hey guys, 752p. This is the new 900p. Like what?
Well, the one thing that it has going here as well, aside from just being OLED, it is a native landscape display. So we'll see how that plays into the whole mix when it comes to Windows handhelds. That seems to be like I referenced Red Dead Redemption 2, and that was one that infamously just hated portrait displays. I guess we're gonna have to wait to see. Like once we get this in hands of reviewers, like I don't know when this is actually coming out. They haven't talked about that yet. If I had to guess, I don't know, late in the year maybe.
Summer.
Like, do you guys have any guesses for that?
Past summer? You think past summer?
I'm gonna take a wild guess that whatever the date is, it'll be at Best Buy and Target before backers get it. That's my guess. That's
No.
like oops. I don't think I'm not allowed to say that out here.
But that's not the only spec here that I wanted to focus on. Another one that, it has a dual fan cooling system. I'm not going to sit with that one too much. For how big it is, it hopefully will have good cooling. And with having that battery inside, unlike the other 395 devices, we're going to have to see how that works out. Obviously, I think I've kind of mentioned this already. This is sporting the Ryzen AI Max 395 Plus, which we've seen in a couple other handhelds like the One X Player Apex, as well as the GPD Win 5 that are both released. And actually the Apex is shipping right now. I got my tracking number finally, so hopefully that'll be here within like the next week. Super pumped.
Yes.
But one thing that I would say kind of stands out here as like, I don't know, like it's mixed. We have a really large battery, like it's 116 watt hour, and that's the largest we've ever seen in one of these handhelds. But that does pose some challenges, right? Like, first of all, would be my question is like having such a big battery in there, like, I know the device is large, but is it large enough to still be able to cool this thing? Because the 395 can get kind of toasty. That's why we have like liquid cooling solution on the Apex, and that even with the tablet, like the Super X, can have a little bit of trouble keeping that thing cool if you're pumping up the TDP. The other question that I have though is about flights. Like the standard's typically 100 watt hour before you have to declare it, or you have to go through some like paperwork to be able to bring it on the flight. Do you guys know anything more about that or have thoughts on this?
I don't travel with this thing. It's not a concern of mine. Or like you could just, go on and like they're not going to check it. The thing is, and we'll talk about the pricing later, I'm sure. I don't think that's worth the gamble of like, just let me see if I can sneak it by TSA. Like that's going to be a bad time. And a friend of ours, also Beardy, who's from the 1X Player Discord, he even said that one of his local airlines in Australia has made this rule where if you carry any kind of power bank or whatever, like you can't turn it on. So it's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like if they have that kind of rule for power banks, all they need to do is look at the back of this thing or like lift it up and be like, okay, yeah, this is not allowed on, or you know what I mean? Like, and you're right, Trevor. As far as I know, it's pretty much 100 watt hours like across the board, at least in the US and South Korea and Japan as well. Unless, of course, you have some kind of express consent because you filled out some application or something.
You can
like
get
that.
approval. Up to 160 watt hours, but that's something that you have to actually talk to the airline with.
Like the other concern about that is, let's say, sure, you can get on the plane with it, but what if you have to connect? Or like, what about coming backwards? Like, what about that? Like, it's just a lot of gambles. I don't personally think
this device.
Yeah,
that was my biggest question with this device. Even like beyond the price, when I saw like the 160, I was like, it's interesting that they made it like over 100 watt hours. Like, do they know something we don't know, or are they just expecting us to leave this in the house? It's too expensive to take anywhere. I wanted to know like what the door process on that, because it seems like, why not just max it out at 100? 60 and extra watt hours, I feel like, is that something that we needed? I don't know.
We're going to get to the price later. How much this thing costs, like, is that worth the risk? Is it worth bringing it? Like, or am I just now going to put this away and grab my Steam Deck or Ally, like something that would pass? But then it's like, why did I buy this? Because like, and why do I need such a large battery?
Maybe you're flying private. I guess it's only for like the rich people. Like, this is like, I guess we're talking like peasants, but this is really for like, the rich people, like they got the private flight. They didn't worry about all that. They don't even have to go through TSA. So maybe we're not even. Maybe it's not even for us. Like I don't know.
You make sure you say that again when the price. I feel like you're going to be saying that again when we see the prices.
No, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that conversation goes. But anyway, yeah, the battery, interesting choice. If you're staying local, you're not flying, you're just driving, maybe going on a road trip. Like, hey, this sounds great. Keeping under 100 watt probably would have been a better option in my opinion, and I think in your guys as well. Yeah, but this is what we have. Okay, so the next thing we'll move to is the controls here, and the first thing is the adjustable torque TMR joysticks. Now that sounds pretty interesting. Yeah, from what I understand, it's like the next version of the Hall effect sticks, like just a improved version. But the adjustable torque, that's what I'm pretty intrigued with. And from what I understand about that is that you can adjust the resistance, which that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And I think many of us were thinking the Zotac Zone, that's what it was going to have, but it ended up not being that.
It's just a dial.
So,
yeah.
yeah. So that's like super disappointing. But yeah, adjustable resistance, essentially. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and I hope we see that in other devices. But I'm pretty like, give credit where it's due. I think GameSir has some controllers that they're starting to introduce that as well. So hopefully it'll become a little bit more commonplace, and maybe we'll see it on some others as well. The other thing I was going to talk about too is the triggers. So this has, similar to the Win 5 as well as the Apex, where you have a little toggle switch that you can adjust, and it actually has either linear triggers where it's the full length, but when you flip the switch, it's actually micro switches, which I don't know. Like, I don't know about you guys, like what your thoughts are on micro switches. Ever since I got this GameSir controller, actually, this is the Cyclone 2. And no, they're not sponsoring this video. With the micro switch buttons, like, I don't know, I don't think I can go back. So having that on the trigger, it's nice if you want to play like, an FPS game, get that like fast throw trigger. It just helps a little bit. Like I still go like maybe a 0.5 kill death ratio, but like maybe I can go to like 0.6 with this new feature,
For sure.
No, that's a great point. I mean, I know a lot of people like to think of these trigger locks as like mostly for like FPS and maybe like jumping between FPS and like, let's say like a racing game or something like that. But it's great for even like fighting games if you play fighting games, right? Because you don't need that kind of throw. So you want your trigger press as quickly as possible. So it's actually really great for that too.
I'm playing something like Souls like, where you have your attack and then your strong attack on like the trigger, like the bumper and trigger. I like a good clicky button on that.
Yeah, I'm loving that they're starting to integrate that more, and we see this across all three devices. So like, I'm here for it. Yeah, so the next thing that they also have talked about is their D-pad, and this is where I think we can reference your device, Paul, because it looks the same. I'm assuming it's using the same tech. So can you show us, like, you have your AYANEO
the KUN here. I do hope they improved it, because this one is a bit, I do like it, but it's just kind of like blasphemy to like this as a D-pad enthusiast. This is very soft. Like, it is very, like, it's not clicky. You can feel it has a distinct actuation, but it is like very subtle. And I think I actually liked it, but I knew that I shouldn't like it. It's kind of like, it's like a weird feeling. So I do hope they improved it. I do hope they improved the tactility, similar to something like how we saw like an improvement. This is not the same, but like how we saw an improvement on like the AYANEO A1X from like the older models, where like they had this weird D-pad. I don't know if you can see the D-pad here, but they have like this kind of like, they want to do this like semi 8-way D-pad, and the first two versions of it were kind of like garbage. They did slightly improve it on the A1X. I do hope that they improved it on the Next 2, because even though I love this device and I know I shouldn't, I don't want to see the same one on the Next 2. I think that it needs a little bit more tactility, a little bit more certainty in those actuation points, because it can feel like you're just like rolling around like a circle without like actual 8-way. I can show you what's under there. Like, this is under the D-pad there. Just like, it's almost like it's like flat, and then in there it kind of just rolls around, and they're like almost like what you would see at like the bottom of like a joystick. Like, it's weird.
I think this D-pad, without really saying much, I guess it looks fine. I think what does AYANEO call it though? They're floating, like their patented floating design or something like that.
Let's see here. Let's see if they have a name.
I don't know. They use a lot of there you go, floating 8-way D-pad. Yeah. That's not as flowery as Arthur usually uses. I mean, that said, I kind of feel like,
because it feels floaty. Like, floating is what I would call it. Like, it feels floaty.
Me looking at this, and I'm sure I'm just overanalyzing this because I'm assuming that's just a render. I don't know. I feel like if you're listening to Paul and listening to him basically just like trash the D-pad, I would not get my hopes up about
No,
this
I
because
love it. I love it, but I know.
it looks startlingly similar to that. Like if you look, it's got like the same like little dashes or notches in the four cardinal directions too. So like, yeah. So I wouldn't hold my breath. And then if you decide to get this, you get your hands on it, and it turns out like Paul, you love it. Then hey, good for you. Maybe we were wrong. So
yeah. And anyone in the comments, like if you have the AYANEO Keen, like let us know what your thoughts are on the D-pad. I'd love to hear it. And let's continue the conversation there. But the other question I had too, Paul, is because you have one, is the Touch Tap Magic touchpads. I think they're using the same name that you did before.
Is it the same from the KUN? I don't know. It looks similar, but I don't know if it's the same. It looks kind of similar here. I don't know if it's the exact same thing. I would say it's functional, but I don't think it's anywhere near as close to something like the Steam Deck as far as usability in games across the spectrum of inputs that you might need. I use it more so just for like another like interaction as like a mouse, and then like the other one as like arrow keys. I don't really use it in games because it's not in the best spot for, your thumb to reach that and then the buttons. And it's also not the best as far as the control fidelity that you would want from something like a stick. If you're using it as a mouse, it's okay for like point and click, but I wouldn't want to use it as a mouse for like aiming.
does it like click down? Does it press?
It does click down. It actually has like quadrants. It presses in, and then it has like quadrants. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can get like a normal click and then like a right click, depending on where you actually click it. So I use a lot for inputs. I didn't have to like touch the screen, but for like games, I would never want to use it for games.
What does the left one do? Is that more like scrolling, like we've seen on
The
some other
left one
devices?
can be scroll. I use it for scroll, and then you can use it as like the arrow keys, so like up, down, left, right. And then I think you could after an update program it to be like a D-pad, so like the 4 ways on the D-pad, and then swipe would be like a scroll.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I mean, it gives us at least a little bit of insight on possibly what to expect. The other thing we won't really talk about, but I'll just touch on, is that we do have 4 rear buttons here. So 2 on each side. That's kind of nice to see. Oftentimes we only see one, so just having a second one is a nice option for those that look for that. That's usually what I hear when people are commenting on my videos, like, man, I wish they would have had 4. It doesn't make sense to have 2. So there is one feature that is probably like, if there was ever this is the feature that you're looking at that you want to buy this thing for, this is it.
That's it right there.
And I think you guys would agree with me. Like this is the best. You can have the AYANEO logo that will glow. And guess what? You can customize it. Not to say anything other than AYANEO, but you can change the color. So we're not looking at something like what we had on the F1 Pro where you could, get your name printed out or, make some custom ones. Like I've done that as well on my F1 Pro. I made my own cuts. No, this one is this is what you get. Maybe there's a way to modify it, but we won't know.
I mean,
and do you really want to try hacking apart your very expensive device? We'll get to the price shortly.
But this is for the AYANEO super fan here. I mean, what else deserves to go there? Like with the luminous, what do they call it? The luminous nameplate. I think in another slide they call it the luminous AYANEO.
Well, what they say here is a mark of pride. So
yeah,
I think
for
that says it all.
Yeah,
I can confidently say you can take this to the bank. Just whip that out. Be like, oh, let's give this guy whatever loan he's looking for.
People buy their MacBooks and their iPhones to flash that fancy Apple icon, right? This is no different, except it's not Apple. It's AYANEO. So like, you don't buy it to not advertise for free. That's just how I'm looking at it.
Paul, like you look like you're well built. Like you'll be fine. GG, I'm sure you'll be fine as well. And I'm starting to work out if I'm considering getting this because it weighs 1,426 grams.
That is crazy. That's the most I've ever seen a handheld weigh. I think that's even more than like the X1. I think the X1 was like 1,200. I think
I don't even know. It's like the Absolute 3D one. I think it's about 1 kilogram. And that thing, like, I don't have it right beside me or anything, but that thing is like I'll throw a little clip on screen here, but like that thing is a big chungus.
Even the Win Max 2, which is like a whole 10-inch laptop, this only weighs like 1,050 grams. And this is like, like, look at this. And it weighs like 400 grams more than that. That's insane.
So 1,426, that's 3.13 pounds or 3.14 pounds. I'm pretty sure that's more than a Z13 Flow. I'm pretty sure. Or it's very close.
I think
Close, yeah.
with the keyboard or just the tablet?
Just the
I think
I
with the
think it's
keyboard
just the
it's more.
tablet.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
just
it's just the tablet. But I mean, the fact that those things are being compared at all, I think kind of says something
I had
in
a
of
funny
itself.
comparison is that it weighs more than the G1 and the Win Mini combined.
Oh my god, yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
These two
yeah.
combined are like, what is it, like 1380, I think, something like that.
Right,
But
right.
two real handhelds weigh less than
Yeah,
this one
yeah.
handheld. It's just crazy.
This is not for the weak-wristed.
But I will say that the Next 2 has a bigger battery than both of those two combined. So I don't know, they may be
Yeah.
onto something.
I'm thinking it's the battery that's really doing it here. Like,
Yeah,
it's a big
one
battery,
60
big
watt-hour
weight.
battery, that's
Yeah,
that's half the weight right there, I guess.
I think so. So before we move on to the hot topic of the price, let me quickly introduce a little bit more about our guests. So, as you've seen in this video, like Paul, I'm pretty sure he can summon any handheld at will because he has almost every handheld. If I
Not every,
say,
but
Paul,
a lot
produce
of
me a
those.
Legion Go S, he's probably got one beside him. Paul,
I do actually have one beside
he's
me.
got one right there. Look at that.
I had it because I was looking at the trigger stops, but that's just total coincidence. Like,
Paul's probably the only one that is crazier than me when it comes to handheld collecting, and we're actually going to be working on a video together soon, a collab. We got to figure out our
yeah,
dates when we're going
definitely.
to post that, but we're going to talk about our handheld collections and why we're a little deranged with collecting so many of these.
For
But
sure.
you can check out Paul's channel. It's Barely Average Dude. I'm just going to pull it up on the screen here, and I'll also pop up a QR code for you guys so you can sub to him if you're interested. Paul, you cover like mostly handheld content from what I remember.
Yeah, handheld adjacent gaming stuff. I may do some accessories every now and then, but mostly handheld specific and then like some gaming adjacent stuff. But yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, definitely check out Paul's channel. You can also click on the subscribe button down below. He's going to be set up as a collab, and it'll give you the option to subscribe right there if you're interested. And while you're at it, subscribe to Okayest Gamer. We've also got our second guest, GG, or Gamers Generation. So you cover a bit more than just handhelds. I believe you're kind of pretty deep into the XR and VR territory. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, actually, I cover more things than people care about. Truthfully, I've been trying to cover a lot less than that. Mostly XR, AR glasses type stuff, all that stuff related to that. On occasion, I'll dabble with VR, but that's more of a passion project because nobody seems to care about that except for me. And then yeah, I'll do handhelds, but truthfully, because I probably have fewer total handhelds in my possession now because I've gotten rid of some of them than you guys have, like the two of you, Trevor and Paul, that you have like literally on your desk right now. I'm pretty sure. Fairly confident. How many do you have?
I don't know.
I have 0.
Wait, on my desk right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 handhelds on my desk right now.
I'm pretty sure I only have the 2 now, at least x86 handhelds. So I've been leaning into more XR content, covering like XR glasses, AR glasses.
Nice.
That's much more in my wheelhouse now. I think that I'm able to capture that both in a way that is way more comprehensive and like nerdy. So if you like that kind of stuff, then that would be the way to go. And on occasion, if I have access to the handheld, I will review it, but I will definitely talk about it on Handhelds United, which again, Trevor is a big part of, and we have to have Paul come back on because he was on before, but not since like our kind of like rebrand refresh. So yeah,
right, definitely. I would love it.
Yeah, definitely check out that. They'll also be linked in the collab is the Handhelds United. We cover mostly x86, sometimes some Android handhelds on occasion, sometimes chipsets. There's a podcast. We've also been starting some new series like a Versus series, which you got to check out. Gets a little spicy in there. Some
Nice.
pot shots are taken, and that's fine. That's what that one's all about. So I'll leave a QR code for both GG's channel as well as the Handhelds United. Just make sure you scan the right or the left side of the screen so you're go a little closer if you're on TV. You can also find the links down in the description. If you want to find myself or GG, you can check out the Handhelds United Discord server. I will now drop that one on the screen as well. So check it out. Community of like-minded individuals. Sometimes we're a little unhinged, but I mean, what's life without a little unhinged in it? Paul, where can we find you if the viewers are wanting to connect with you? Where are you most active?
I would say mostly just YouTube. I'm so busy outside of that most of my interaction with the community is just on the YouTube. I might pop into the Discord if somebody gives me a little nudge, but usually like just the YouTube or I'm in some other like Facebook groups, but usually the YouTube is probably the best place right now to get to me.
Paul is
Yeah.
also on the Handhelds United Discord, so if you want to chat with him, just ping him and say clamshells are garbage, and he will come running.
I will come fight you with these two devices in hand. Like,
exactly. There
you
you go.
catch these hard edges. But I would definitely respond to something like that or anything in general.
Awesome. Okay, so let's jump back to the main content. The question that everybody is wondering about, and the question that has given me, and I think it's given you guys as well. I saw your face. I should have recorded the first time I sent you the slide, but the price. And the price is a little shocking. And then I realized that things have changed for other devices as well. And I got a second shock. So let's take a look at the price here. All right. It does hurt. And I'm saying this. Yeah, you take a look at it and you're like, oh my God, these are crazy. And they are, especially the retail prices. However, things have gotten crazy on some of the other brands as well. Like the Indiegogo prices that we saw for the Apex as well as the Win 5 are no longer the realm of reality that we're working in. And actually, this $22.99 for the 64 gig 395 with 1 terabyte actually isn't that bad of a deal compared. So let's take a quick look. So we're going to we can't find this exact configuration on the other ones, but let's take a look at them. So if we go over to 1xPlayer's site and we take the 395 and pick the 64 2 terabyte. So it's a 2 terabyte drive, not 1 terabyte. So just keep that in mind that you are getting more storage, but that one's going for $24.99, which is, I don't remember what it was going for on the Indiegogo, but it certainly was a lot lower than that. But now, this is where it was shocking, is if you check out the Win 5, $27.99. Now, again, it's a 2 terabyte, but that is wild. Like, these prices have gone crazy, and I see people talk about it in the comments, and like, I guess I didn't check to see how much they had jumped up, but my goodness, these are expensive handhelds. And our joke earlier about you could probably take one of these to the bank, you probably could. Like, you could probably use it as leverage for a loan. Like, it's they're not cheap.
Yeah, my first car costs less than that.
Yeah. When you go back here, suddenly the $22.99 doesn't look so bad, which is kind of surprising. Now the retail, the $26.99, that hurts. But things flip when you look at the 128 gigabyte. Now here we're $34.99 USD. Now that's 2 terabyte, 128 gigabyte. You take a look at the Apex. We're looking at, it's a 2 terabyte, $28.99 for the 128 gig. So what is that? $600 cheaper, which is, that's not substantial. Like, that's quite a bit. When we check out the Win 5, their 64 2 terabyte is the best you're going to get. But now it's $27.99. But the $22.99, I think that's the way to go. Like 64 gigs, I think that's the one you're probably going to want to look at. Like, I think the 128, like, I'm kind of crazy. I like getting more RAM. I like using my handhelds like as my main computer. I don't know if I could pull that off. $299 when it's retail.
Yeah, the retail price is just insane.
Wild.
Man. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're doing like,
what do you guys think? Paul, we'll start with you.
People always think that I would just accept any price, but just let the record reflect again. Let the record reflect that even someone like myself is looking at this like, who is this for? This is, I mean, the price is, okay, just to like be, for like, I guess, mathematical. I think the price, quote unquote, makes sense for like what the device is. You know, you have 128 gigabytes of, you know, very fast integrated memory, RAM, and then 2 terabytes of storage. These components alone have skyrocketed in price. You get an OLED screen. It's an all-in-one sort of computing device. So for what it technically is, the price isn't so like, you know, far-fetched. I don't think it's overpriced. I just think it's a high price. And it's something that you have to think like, do you want to put all of that in a handout? For some people, it's like, yeah, sure. But I mean, that costs more than my desktop PC. Like, I try to think of from a consumer standpoint, like, are we being forced to get the early bird? Like, are we being forced to get into it early without thinking about, you know, the after sale, without thinking about like, what problems can come from early manufacturing process? Like, it's like almost when I look at that 128 version, I'm like, you're almost being forced to get that because it's almost $1,000 more for the retail price. You go from $34 to $42.99, which is almost $1,000 more. And it's like, at that point, do you really want to like wait for the retail version and pay almost $1,000 more? Do you just jump in early? I kind of feel like it's almost like a tactic to get you in early.
That's all fair points. GG, what do you think about this?
I'm gonna take a page out of our friend Nelly, out of her book. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just whatever thought you had in your head about buying this thing, about backing this thing at this price, but it's like, no, whatever idea you had, just crumple that up, throw it in the trash, because that's almost what you're doing with this kind of money with the handheld. I mean, I agree with what Paul was saying, like, you know, I don't necessarily straight out think that like it's a ripoff in the context of AYANEO trying to rip you off. Like this is market pricing. Like they're all like all the prices are going up in terms of market pricing. But like, you know, we know as handheld enthusiasts that like you have a tendency to pay for a premium when it's in this portable compact form factor. And then also when you're paying for a certain performance level. And when it comes to handheld space and mobile space, you know, the 395 Strix Halo, this is, you know, the pinnacle of that, at least at this point. I always have a tendency to look at things from a, you know, price to performance kind of perspective. And like right now, as of this recording that we're doing, you can get like a 4080 laptop, a 5070 Ti laptop, which I know it's bigger, it's less portable, but remember this thing is over 3 pounds. And those laptops you can actually take on a plane, and those laptops will be $1,800. So you're saving money, and those laptops will absolutely destroy this handheld in performance. 4080 laptop, 5070 Ti laptop, it's going to walk circles around this thing.
Yeah, I guess for myself, I am one of those like weird folks that will invest way too much money in a handheld. The 128 gigabyte, I'm having a lot of trouble finding a place in my mind for like who that's for, because of like that's a lot of money, $3,500. Like I know I couldn't do that. The 2299 I would consider. Like I did order an Apex, so like, you know, I paid a pretty penny for this thing. So the 2299 I could see. The 1799 385 I think is more reasonable, and I think that's something that like, you know, I would consider. But like I'm also the type that I don't want the 385 if there's a 395, because there's 10 more numbers in that one, so it must be better. Although the benchmarks show the opposite, they're actually pretty similar.
I mean, not just that though, Trevor. I mean, when you backed it, and when a lot of your audience, I'm sure, backed, you know, the Apex, the like it has shifted a tier. Like that $1,800 would have gotten you a 395 Apex, like, you know, 2 months ago or whatever type thing. So when you see that kind of price action, this is kind of what I'm saying with, you know, just take that like mindset in your head and just toss it out the window, because at this price you could get a half decent gaming desktop or the laptop I just talked about, and then get, you know, like a Steam Deck or like a more budget friendly handheld and stream from that. Like I know you're not gonna, like, again, I know you're not gonna like be taken on a plane, but remember we said this is a gamble of taking this on a plane too, so it's like okay.
I mean, if I was to play devil's advocate, the only person I could see like that 128 gigabyte version being for at $4,300 and then 35 at the early bird is like, if you're into like local AI and stuff like that. AI does benefit from like onboard, like a lot of onboard storage, and then a lot of like RAM for the GPU processes. That's just I just don't know who that's for. That's the only person I could think of it being for.
But if you're gonna do that AI stuff, you're gonna do local you know, LLMs, $3,200, you can actually get a 5090, and I think the performance comparison is over like 500% difference. Like it's going to be night and day, absolutely night and day.
Yeah. Well, we've covered a lot today. We've talked about like our thoughts on this, who it's potentially for, and who it may not be for, which is probably a lot of people with the prices right now. The other question I had, I'll just add one last thing for prices before we wrap up, is my one concern that I have with the RAM prices, with the SSD prices, how they've been continuing to rise, is we don't have a release date for this device. And are the prices going to change because of that? So if this comes out in, let's say, 6 months, what are we looking at? Are we looking at the market stabilizing, or are we looking at it continuing to rise? Those are some questions that we don't have answers to. And I can't see a company, let's say like AYANEO, really absorbing that extra cost. So I would imagine we could potentially see some price adjustments if things continue to go. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thanks, guys, for joining me. It was a ton of fun, you know, just chatting about this device, getting your perspective. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in anything that we've talked about, I'm going to leave links in the description. Feel free to check it down below. Check out GG's channel, check out Paul's, as well as check out Handhelds United. And let's continue the conversation in the comments as well as in the communities. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. And thanks for joining me, guys. See you later.